Welcome to the Coast to Coast podcast, brought to you by Play Picks and the Lines. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by my guy Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And it is time for the player props video we love to bring you each and every weekday. Nate's got a great article up on playpicks.com as always as well, with some best bets and player props in there. And make sure to like and subscribe to the page, as we've got a couple other videos for you up today, including the Dallas Mavericks taking on the Golden State Warriors, as well as the Bucks and the Raptors in the Eastern Conference. And as always, if you do still need a FanDuel or DraftKings account, head to fdpicks.com or dkpicks.com and find those listings in your area, such as these player props we're about to get into, Nate. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention that we're about to give away a gift card opportunity as well. So make sure you do like and subscribe to that page to be eligible. Now, Nate, let's get into those player props.
Yeah, I mean, we're 7-2 so far this week picking these props. So we are going to run it back with a couple props today that are pretty similar, and I would expect to hit again. Bradley Beal getting 28.5 points as his prop when, he's averaging 30.7 on a 33% usage rate in his last 6 games. He's played 43 minutes in consecutive games because the Wizards are missing Dinwiddie, Raul Neto, and Aaron Holiday due to protocol right now. So they don't really have a choice with that. And now he's playing a Rockets team that had to suspend Kevin Porter Jr. and Christian Wood for a game on Monday because of a apparent spat with the coach. That does not spell good things for their defense, which has been worst in the league for 12 straight games, giving up 123 points, giving up 50% from the field. On the road, they play at the second fastest pace. And Beal in this matchup, 38.7 points per game on 35% usage in his last 3 meetings. He's having a bit of a rough season by his lofty standards, but still 6 points higher of an offensive rating at home. And recently, his offensive rating has skyrocketed. It seems like he's finally clicked for this Wizards team, which is starting to play more of a run and gun style that we've seen, getting in the 120s more often than not. And the total here is 230. Might expect the over to hit there, and might expect Beal to go over 30 points in a win, which would get you nearly plus 200 on your money when Houston's not beating anyone. So that seems like a good way to kind of juke this prop up a little bit and get you some good odds.
100%. I mean, when you see, the money line for the Wiz is at about minus 330, not great odds on your return there, but at least that indicates maybe you can get some juice on the player performance doubles. To your point, love that plus 190 for Beal to get 30 and the W as well. The 28.5 feels fine as, also, I mean, look, Houston hung around with Philly in their last game in Philly enough so that, Philly had to play their starters into the fourth quarter and pull away at the very end there. So I think, maybe there's at least some sort of let's call it chutzpah for the Rockets without their stars, who everybody else is in disarray. But Steven Silas seems to be handling it well enough that this team should be able to hang close enough to be able to keep Beal in the game. Plus, without Dinwiddie, without Aaron Holiday still out, out, a bunch of guards still out, as you mentioned for the Wiz, you're still going to need Bradley Beal in there to get those points and keep that game in check. So feel really good about going back to the well with Beal there. And another guy I always feel good about going back to the well. We talked about Steph here in our Mavericks and Warriors video and the other video we put up as well, because of what he's done, in his last 3 versus Dallas. I believe he's had about 48, 50, and 28 points in the last 3, respectively there. So, actually that 50-point game, always love to talk about how that was a loss for the Warriors. Such a weird season for them. He dropped 50 and they still lose. But yeah, coming back to him on this one at 26.5 points feels kind of low. You can probably guess why that is when you see a total that started at about 209. It has risen to 213 in this game. But you expect defense in this game. We talked about in the other video as well. Both these teams go under way more than anybody else in the league. But at the same time, that we mentioned Steph, they lost the last time he scored 50. So it's not like, he's always scoring and they're winning. But he's coming off a stinker too, right? He went 3 for 17, 1 for 10 from 3 on a season low 9 points. Really for the first time in a long time, he failed to score double digits in a game against Miami, who was shorthanded. It wasn't like they had all their stars out playing D on him. So it was just a really, really bad game for him, which you expect him to come back off from with a vengeance. And, I mentioned those last 3 versus Dallas, but if you even take it back to his last 8 versus the Mavs, he's got splits of 52, 46, 96, only playing about 33 and a half minutes per game. But I think you'll need him a lot tonight. I think this one's going to stay close. So, the fact that he's got 133 individual offensive rating on a 33% usage rate against Dallas in those last 8 as well, you got to feel good about him being able to get those points. I know you also consider his points and rebounds in this one, which I'll let you talk about in a minute. But before that, I did want to say I want to make this a gift card opportunity. I don't want to make it just Steph, though, because Luka's back and playing for the Mavs, and we got 2 of the best guards in the league going head to head. Let's make the gift card opportunity Steph's points plus Luka's points combined for the correct number. Throw that in the comments after you are liked and subscribed to the page and the video to be eligible to win that. And take it away, Nate, on what you think about Steph tonight.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I like the rebounds is because Dallas does go under so often at home, and that means more missed shots, and they actually give up the second most defensive rebounds per game when they are at home this season. And Steph has really been doing his part with Klay Thompson out all season. On the glass, especially on the road, he's averaging 5.8 boards per game, so 31.5 points and rebounds. I mean, he can get over that with his points very easily. That's what he averages in those last 8 against Dallas. But if you just throw in that for a little extra security, the odds are actually slightly better on FanDuel for the points and rebounds combined, and does give you a little flexibility. But yeah, every time Steph has a clunker, you can pretty much chalk in that he will come back and approach 30 points because he's just the best shooter in the world. And there's certain teams that don't really do much to stop him. And Dallas has been one of those in recent years. So love him in Dallas, where he dropped that 58-point game in a couple seasons ago. And then we're going to educate everybody here on Saddiq Bey, the fantastic second-year man out of Villanova, who is leading those surprise Pistons. They've won consecutive games over the Spurs and Bucks. Absolute shocker there. And they are totally embracing the youth movement, with Bey playing 42.6 minutes per game over his last 5. That has led to averages of 26.5 points, 10.5 rebounds on 43, 40, 91% splits. In his last 3 games, he's 16 for 38 from 3. Talk about getting the green light there. And really, even 4 games longer than that, he's averaging over 40 minutes per game, over 25 points. He has produced at least 27 points, rebounds in every matchup except one against the Knicks, then turned around in a rematch with the Knicks and went for 32 points, 9 rebounds, has at least 21 points in 8 of those 9 games. And that's where his props sit today, right, at 20.5 points. So if he gets his baseline recently, he's there. And then 28.5 points and rebounds, which is way low considering he's averaging 37 in his last 5. And he's playing Charlotte, which plays at the 3rd fastest pace, gives up the most points per game, most threes per game, and would totally love to get into a shootout where they make a young player look good here. And that's what the Pistons have been doing. They've ramped up the pace considerably recently, and they're giving guys like Bey, Hamidou Diallo, even Josh Jackson off the bench a chance to show what they can do, see if they can win a few games and stop being the worst team in the league.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, they've got nothing to lose. They're already losing. So that, playing all these young guys, all these minutes is great. It's the Franz Wagner model that I put together, as we know, a little while ago, where if a team is selling out and not worried about winning games and they just want to see what they have in their young studs, it's definitely a make or break season for Bey, who had times last season of showing out, but never with this consistency over the last 9, to your point. I love the points and rebounds combined. It's incredibly low, to your point, averaging 37. If you get that kind of value at 29 total, over 28.5 points and rebounds, and better odds than just his points at -108 with the points and rebounds. Feels like they kind of got that one backwards at FanDuel, so we'll go ahead and pounce on that one for sure. And then lastly, going to go back to the well one more time after we took De'Aaron Fox last night and he crushed his props. Going to go back to him on the second leg of a back-to-back. His props are exactly the same as they were last night, as 26.5 points and assists, -118 on FanDuel, 21.5 points, -104 on FanDuel, so a little bit better odds there. I once again do like the points and assists a little bit better, even though he smashed that point total last night against a really bad defensive team in the Lakers. This tonight, those points and assists once again versus an Atlanta team who, they have not been good on defense as of late. That's been the reason that their season is so bad, to be honest, in general. And, Trae Young is the starting point guard opposite De'Aaron Fox, who is a very bad defender, as we all know. And I believe his individual defensive rating somewhere up around 144 versus Portland in that game that they lost, which was a complete stinker for them. So, he's actually a little bit hobbled as well, even if, he when he's back with a little bit of a lower back issue, even if he was fully healthy, I would still feel good about Fox being able to go up against him and get his in tonight. And really, you see that where Atlanta's really bad on defense, it's at the top of their D where Trae's playing. They give up like the third most points to opposing point guards. They give up the fourth most assists to opposing point guards. And that's because guys like De'Aaron Fox, who's a bigger, faster, stronger point guard, can just get to wherever he wants against the Hawks tonight. And so, I feel really good about D Fox getting his 27 total points and assists combined.
Yeah, I mean, if the back-to-back scares you because of his recent results, he's had just 13 points in 3 straight back-to-backs, but it's more about the matchup in those games. Those are against Utah, Cleveland, Dallas, 3 of the best defensive teams out there. Against Atlanta in his last 2, 34.5 points per game because going up against Trae Young, embracing that challenge. And the Hawks in 4 games since getting Trae back are giving up the most assists per game. They're giving up 129 points per game, and their defensive rating is 130. And Trae's doing his part to raise that with a 136 individual defensive rating. And if you have lower back issues, you are certainly not selling out to play great defense against a guy who might be the quickest off the dribble in the NBA. So Atlanta's probably going to throw some other guys at him here tonight, but they don't have Bogey. Cam Reddish is dealing with an ankle injury too. So it should be a night where Fox can get his at home and continue to hit those props.
100%. Yep. We'll look to keep him adding to our 7-2 record this week so far on those player props, up about 550 units, just an FYI. Definitely going to keep tweeting those out for you each and every day as well. So make sure you do follow us both there on Twitter. That is all the time we have for today. Do like and subscribe to that page. Let us know how many points in the comments, how many points Steph and Luka will combine for tonight in that Mavs Warriors game. Win that gift card and give it out to as many people as whom get it right. And until we see you next, happy betting.